The air is thin, bites at your exposed skin. You're alone. The sun is sinking fast, painting jagged peaks orange and purple. A wrong turn on a simple day hike has become a fight for your life. Panic creeps in, a cold, venomous thing that clouds your judgment. You remember a movie scene or a tip a friend shared. It feels like a lifeline, a piece of solid ground in a swirling sea of fear. Should you follow that stream downhill to find civilization? Should you eat those berries the birds are eating? Your mind races, grabbing at any piece of common knowledge that might save you. This is the moment where what you think you know can be your salvation or your downfall. In these critical moments, your body screams for warmth, water, safety. Your brain is your primary tool. It's the most important piece of survival gear you'll ever have. But like any tool, it needs to be sharp and reliable. Our minds get cluttered with bits of information that sound logical but are dangerously wrong. These are survival myths. They spread because they often hold a kernel of truth or simply feel intuitive. They promise a quick fix when you're desperate, but following them can turn a survivable situation into a fatal one. From the freezing Arctic to the scorching desert. The laws of nature are unforgiving. They only care about physics, biology, chemistry. Understanding real survival principles is not academic, it's life-saving. For every deadly tip exposed, you'll get a clear, effective alternative. This knowledge could be the difference between surviving and becoming a cautionary tale. It's time to learn how to truly fight for your life and win. Survival myths are like weeds in a garden. They look harmless enough at first, and they spread with incredible speed. Someone has a bad experience. They misinterpret what happened. Then they share their story. That story gets repeated. It gets twisted. And it gets simplified until it becomes a rule everyone accepts as fact. Think about drinking from a clear mountain stream. It looks pure. It feels right. The belief that clear running water is always safe to drink is one of the most dangerous myths. It shows how instincts betray us without real knowledge. When you're cold, when you're tired, when you're scared, your brain isn't at its best. It looks for shortcuts and easy answers. A myth provides exactly that. Do this, and you'll be okay. That's more appealing than the complex reality. Steps, careful observation, hard work. The urine for water myth ignores that you're reintroducing waste into a struggling body, accelerating dehydration and kidney failure. Sometimes someone gets lucky. They drink contaminated water and don't get sick. Or they build a huge, inefficient fire and survive the night. Those flukes become proof and create confirmation bias. Survival isn't luck, it's stacking the odds in your favor. Make deliberate, informed choices to see the next sunrise. Relying on myth is like gambling with your life. You might survive once or twice, but luck runs out. In the pages ahead, we'll act like demolition experts. We'll find weak points in popular survival beliefs and expose the faulty logic. I'll show why sucking snake venom is a terrible idea. We'll explain why a tiny, well-insulated shelter can beat a large, drafty cave. Our mission: arm you with the ultimate survival tool, clarity. You'll be better prepared, confident, clear-headed, and ready to get home safely. Table of Contents. Part 2. Act 1. The Water Myths. 1. The Thirst for Life. Dehydration's Deadly Clock. 2. Myth. 1. You can survive for weeks without water. 3. Myth. 2. All clear. Running water is safe to drink. 4. The Unseen Killers. Pathogens in pristine waters. 5. Myth. 3. Eating snow is a safe way to hydrate. 6. Myth. 4. You should drink your urine when dehydrated. Of all the immediate needs in a survival situation, water is the most critical. Your body is a finely tuned machine, and that machine is about 60% water. Every single process, from thinking clearly to digesting food to pumping blood, depends on it. When you start to run low, the entire system begins to fail, and it fails much faster than most people realize. The thirst you feel is not just a minor inconvenience. It's the first alarm bell from your body's emergency warning system. Ignoring it is one of the gravest errors you can make. The clock starts ticking. pushing you closer to a point of no return where your ability to think and act is severely compromised. Dehydration is not a simple, linear process. It's a cascade of failures that begins subtly but accelerates with terrifying momentum. In the early stages, you might just feel thirsty and a little tired. Your mouth gets dry, and you might notice you're not urinating as often. But as you lose more fluids, especially if you're exerting yourself or in a hot environment, the symptoms become far more severe. Your heart has to work harder to pump thicker blood, leading to a rapid pulse. You can become dizzy, develop a splitting headache, and feel disoriented. This is the stage where you start making bad decisions, which is the last thing you want when your life is on the line. Many people underestimate how quickly this decline can happen. They carry a single small bottle of water for a long hike, assuming it will be enough. But willpower cannot change physiology. As dehydration progresses past the 5% water loss mark, you can experience confusion, irritability, and a significant decrease in mental capacity. Your ability to navigate, build a shelter, or signal for help plummets. Your body starts to ration its remaining water, a sign that you are deep in the danger zone. Understanding this rapid decline is the first step in respecting the power of water. It's not an optional extra. It is the fuel for survival. Every decision you make in a survival scenario should be weighed against its impact on your water supply and hydration level. Finding water, purifying water, is not just a task. It is your number one priority, above shelter and even above food. Because without it, you won't have the strength or the clarity of mind to secure anything else. The fight for water is the fight for life itself. One of the most pervasive and deadly pieces of misinformation is the so-called rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. While it's catchy, the part about water is dangerously misleading. It creates a false sense of security. People believe they have a comfortable 3-day window to find water. This is simply not true. That 3-day figure is an absolute best-case scenario, applying to a person at rest in a cool, temperate environment, doing absolutely nothing. In a real survival situation, you are never in a best-case scenario. The reality is far more grim. If you are lost in a hot desert like the Mojave or the Sahara, you might not even last a single day without water. The intense heat and low humidity will cause you to lose fluid through sweat and through respiration, sometimes more than a liter per hour. Even in a more moderate climate, if you're hiking or climbing or panicking, your body's demand for water skyrockets. The energy you expend searching for help or building a shelter rapidly depletes your internal reserves. Believing you have 3 days might encourage travel during the hottest part of the day, which could drain your reserves in hours, not days. The safer, realistic rule: operate as if you have less than 24 hours to find water. That mindset creates urgency. It forces you to make finding water your top priority from day one. Instead of rationing a tiny supply, focus on securing a sustainable source. Stop, think, plan your search. Conserve energy. Rest during the heat of day. Move when it's cooler. Forget the rule of threes. Act on day one as if it's your last chance to find water. It is an image straight out of a nature documentary. A crystal clear mountain stream bubbling over smooth, worn stones. It looks pure, clean, and incredibly inviting, especially when you are parched with thirst. The myth that clear, fast-moving water is inherently safe to drink is one of the most tempting and treacherous in the survival world. This is a catastrophic mistake that can lead to debilitating illness when you are at your most vulnerable. The truth is that the most dangerous contaminants in water are completely invisible to the naked eye. We are talking about microscopic organisms, bacteria, viruses, protozoan cysts that can wreak havoc on your digestive system. A stream can look pristine and still be teeming with things like Giardia, Cryptosporidium, E. coli. These microorganisms often get into the water from the fecal matter of wild animals further upstream. All it takes to contaminate it for miles downstream. Drinking this contaminated water is like swallowing a ticking time bomb. You drink your fill, feel refreshed, think you've made a great choice. But within a day to a week, the symptoms will hit you like a freight train. Severe diarrhea, violent stomach cramps, vomiting, fever. In a survival situation, this kind of illness is a potential death sentence. It leads to rapid dehydration, sapping you of any remaining strength. The only safe alternative is to assume that all wild water sources are contaminated and must be treated before you drink them. There are no exceptions to this rule. The safest, most reliable method of purification is to bring the water to a rolling boil for at least 1 full minute. If you are at high altitudes, you should increase this boiling time to 3 minutes. If making a fire isn't possible, using a commercial water filter, purification tablets can also be effective. But boiling remains the gold standard. When you're surrounded by a vast white landscape of snow, it seems like you have an endless supply of water. In a way, you do. But the common belief that you can simply grab a handful of snow and eat it to stay hydrated is a dangerous myth that can accelerate the very condition you are trying to fight: hypothermia. Your body maintains a core temperature of around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Snow, on the other hand, is at or below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. When you eat snow, your body must expend a massive amount of energy just to melt the snow and bring that ice-cold water up to your core. It draws heat directly from your core. Eating snow is also incredibly inefficient. A cup of packed snow may yield only a few tablespoons of water. Eating snow can also cause cracked lips and sores inside your mouth from abrasive ice crystals. Infection risk. The safe alternative: always melt snow before drinking. No container? Use a waterproof fabric or a plastic pouch. Form a pouch, fill it with snow, and hang it near a heat source. Even your body. Tuck it inside your jacket but outside your base layer and let body heat slowly melt it. It's slow, but it gives you water without dangerously lowering your core temperature. This is perhaps one of the most sensational and desperately misguided survival myths popularized by movies and dramatic television shows. The idea is that when you have absolutely no other source of water, you can drink your own urine to rehydrate. However, the grim reality is that this action does more harm than good. It will accelerate dehydration, poison your system, and push your kidneys towards complete failure. Let's be very clear about what urine is. It is the liquid waste product filtered from your blood by your kidneys. Its primary purpose is to remove excess salts, minerals, and toxic substances like urea from your body. When you are healthy and well hydrated, your urine is about 95% water. However, as you become dehydrated, your urine becomes much more concentrated. Drinking this highly concentrated waste is like drinking a small amount of seawater. It actually makes you more dehydrated. You are forcing your already stressed kidneys to reprocess the very toxins they just worked hard to remove. It's a vicious downward spiral. A much safer, though still limited alternative in a desert environment is a solar still. By digging a hole, placing a container in the center, covering it with a sheet of plastic, and weighing the center down with a rock, you can use the sun's heat to evaporate moisture from the ground and surrounding vegetation. This moisture, which is pure water, will condense on the underside of the plastic and drip down into your container. It is clean, safe water that will actually hydrate you, unlike the toxic fluid your body is trying to expel. After securing a source of water, your next most urgent priority is shelter. But the environment can kill you much faster than hunger. The primary killer in most survival situations is exposure to the elements. Your body is a fragile furnace. When it loses heat faster than it can produce it, systems begin to shut down, leading to death. A proper shelter is your primary defense against this relentless heat loss. The image of a survivor next to a massive bonfire at night. Classic movies and television trope. The common belief: bigger is better. But the giant bonfire myth is dangerously inefficient. Building and maintaining a huge fire is hard work. It costs hours and thousands of precious calories. Second, a large fire is an inefficient way to stay warm. Most of the heat just goes up into the night sky. You end up either too hot or too cold. A big open fire doesn't warm your back. One side gets heat. The other stays exposed and loses warmth. Bright flames destroy night vision. You become a brightly lit target, unable to see what might be approaching from the darkness. The safe and effective alternative to a giant bonfire is a small, smart fire, just big enough to accomplish its tasks: boiling water, cooking food, providing warmth. To truly harness the fire's warmth, you must use a reflector. This wall will bounce the heat that would normally escape behind you back onto your body. With a small fire in front of you and a heat reflector behind you, you create a pocket of radiant heat that warms you from both sides. Consider a long log fire. This setup radiates heat along the entire length of your body, providing consistent warmth throughout the night. This intelligent approach to fire is far more valuable than the false security of a massive, wasteful blaze. Working smart, not just hard. When you are lost, tired, and the weather is turning, finding a natural cave or rock overhang can feel like winning the lottery. The myth is that any natural shelter like this is safe. Rushing into the first one you find without a careful inspection is a risk a smart survivor should never take. You are probably not the only one who thinks this cave is a good home. Look for signs of animal activity: tracks, droppings, leftover food, or bones. Many animals use caves as dens. Disturbing them can provoke an aggressive defensive attack. If you see any of these signs, find another place. Another hidden danger is the cave's stability. Overhangs can have loose, fractured rock that could fall, especially in bad weather. If you plan a fire inside, ventilation is critical. Without an opening for smoke, you can suffer carbon monoxide poisoning and never wake up. Caves are often damp and cold. Rock pulls heat away from your body. The ground is usually colder and wetter than outside. That speeds heat loss and raises your hypothermia risk. If you find a safe, dry, uninhabited cave, never sleep directly on the floor. Build a thick, insulating bed of debris between you and the ground. We can combine these principles into the single most effective survival shelter, the debris hut. A carefully constructed human-sized cocoon designed to maximize insulation and to trap your body heat. The construction begins with a sturdy frame. Find a strong, thick branch and prop one end up. This will be your ridgepole. Next, lean smaller branches and sticks along both sides, creating a triangular A-frame structure. Now comes the most important and labor-intensive part: insulation. You need to cover the entire frame with this debris, piling it on until it is at least 2 to 3 feet thick on all sides. Do not skimp on this step. Finally, you must insulate the inside. You need to completely fill the interior of the hut. When it's time to sleep, you will crawl into the entrance and burrow your way into this giant pile of leaves. This creates a tiny, insulated pocket where your own body heat is trapped, keeping you surprisingly warm all night, safe from conduction, convection, and the cold. After you have secured a source of water and built a shelter, the thought of food will begin to dominate your mind. The sight of lush greenery, colorful berries, mushrooms can seem like a buffet laid out by nature itself. This is where many survival situations take a dangerous turn, turning a search for sustenance into a potential poisoning. Wild plants have evolved for their own survival. Many have developed potent chemical defenses, toxins, to discourage animals from eating them. The caloric return on foraging is often much lower than people imagine. You could spend an entire day foraging and burn more calories than you actually consume. This is one of the most widely believed and logically flawed myths. If you see a bird eating a certain berry or plant, it must be non-toxic. This line of thinking is a deadly trap. It assumes human physiology is identical to other animals. Dangerously false. The deathcap mushroom causes most fatal mushroom poisonings worldwide. Deer and rabbits can eat deathcaps with no ill effects. For humans, a small portion can destroy the liver and kidneys. That damage often leads to agonizing death days later. The only safe alternative: ignore what other animals are eating. Only eat plants you can identify with 100% certainty from expert knowledge. A common tip: follow a water source. But that logic is flawed. It can lead through deep canyons, impassable swamps, dangerous waterfalls. Committing to following a river is abandoning your last known position, making it much harder for search and rescue teams to find you. Moss grows wherever conditions suit it. In a dense forest, moss all around. One tree's moss. Guesswork. The sun is tricky too. Summer rises Ni, sets NW. Winter rises SE, sets SW. Sunrise and sunset can be off by 30 degrees plus. Reliable alternative. Carry and know a map and compass. They aren't fooled by weather or season. There is another battle you must win, and it is fought entirely inside your own head. This is the psychological battle against fear, panic, despair. Panic is the enemy of reason. It makes you run blindly, waste precious energy, ignore obvious solutions. Panic is the enemy of clear thought. Prefrontal cortex shuts down. Amygdala drives action. Panic is like flooring the accelerator in neutral. Lots of noise, no progress. Maximum effort for zero productive output. One of the most common pieces of survival advice is to stay put. However, it has been simplified into an absolute myth. There are critical situations where it is the wrong choice. This myth is the polar opposite. The belief your only hope is to start walking to actively search for rescue. In reality, this is one of the most dangerous things you can do. The correct alternative is to make yourself easy to find. Instead of using your energy to walk, use it to signal. Your job is not to find rescue. Your job is to help rescue find you. The safe alternative. Deliberately calm yourself. The moment fear takes over, stop everything. Sit down. Focus on controlling your breathing. It re-engages your rational mind, from blind terror to calm, focused awareness. This control is your true power. These are not myths. They are the core principles that will keep you alive. Burn them into your memory. The wilderness is unforgiving of mistakes, but it rewards preparation, knowledge, and respect. Stay prepared, stay smart, and stay alive.